Moon gang. Hello. What is going on, apes? Oh, you guys are sounding crisp right now. Hello. What is going on? Trader TV Live talking about Matt Kohrs. Oh, shout out to Trader TV Live. Shout out. I like those guys over there. Some cool guys. Shout out. Good morning, Trader TV Live. Good morning, apes. Hello. Today is Thursday, September 30th, and what a day. What a day we have going on. I mean, I think today's really going to be shrouded in more and more government talk. We're talking about a government shutdown. We're talking about a debt ceiling. We're talking about an infrastructure deal. We're talking about the budget. Like, we have so much overarching U.S. political things going on for the market, as in SPY, IWMQs. We have to look at just all that stuff. And then on top of it, of course, in our world specifically of what the ape nation, the ape community, what Moon Gang has been paying attention to, especially through the lens of AMC and GME, we're just getting more and more ridiculous developments with Citadel and Robinhood and actually what truly went down back in January. The entire situation, it's just getting so... I mean, I don't think this is really breaking news to any of you, but it's more of a... I don't know, vindication that like what we've been saying, we're like, okay, no, like every time we're getting a little bit of a development, it's kind of showing that like we're kind of right about the entire deal, that there's some sort of potentially illegal, but definitely immoral cronyism going on within the market. I mean, this morning, for whatever reason, my blood pressure actually started to get going when I thought more and more about that Jim guy who is the president of Robinhood Securities selling his AMC right before they PCO'd it, position closed only it. And as soon as they did that on AMC and Jimmy, both of them went down. And then he was like alerting, I think he was messaging Vlad about it, of like, hey, we're going to do this with GME tomorrow. Like, that is absolutely insane. Now, I don't know if it meets the legal definition of insider trading, but I would bet a lot of money that it's still illegal, because like it's not necessarily like you're trading on insider information to the company. You're trading on insider information to the brokerage where at that point in time, most of the retail trading public was at. So I don't know where that would fall legally, but there's no way it is legal. Like, I don't know what the special name for it would be, but geez Louise, I mean, the things going on that the most recent court document really line out for Robinhood, holy guacamole, Batman. It is not a good scenario. I mean, the lawyers must be having a field day with it, an absolute field day. Blows my mind. And in the meantime, I have put out kind of a couple lines here to try to actually get a discussion going with a lawyer involved in the case. So if I get further development on that, I will let all of you know. But I think that would be really, really cool for all of us to like get someone who's like truly involved in it, has like the legal acumen that's necessary, but also directly involved in the case, so they can explain to us like what is happening, what isn't happening, because I fear that there's like a lot of assumptions going out there that I don't know, maybe they are true, maybe they aren't true. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really comment on it, but I could at least put in the effort to bring a lawyer on, so we're all like up to pace on that. Let's see what is going on, though. Okay, so just so you know, before we hop into everything, AMC currently trading at 35.36, GME currently trading at 175. Markets could be rocky. Excuse me. Kelly Ripa would never do that. Markets could be very rocky today. They could be very, very rocky. So let's hop in on like kind of the overarching view, and then we'll get into the specifics of AMC, GME, and some of these other ones that I've been getting more and more questions about. So 5 things to know for today. Number 1, Dow set for higher open as Wall Street prepares to close out a rough month. Rough month indeed. And in fact, it looks like we have a little bit of a gap up. I'm looking at the SPY, not the Dow, but they're going to be pretty related. Up about $1. I'm still looking for this gap fill up to 442, but I really don't think it's going to happen until we get more information basically about the... Well, today we have the funding, which I have an update on that for you. But then more than that is the debt ceiling, and that'll be occurring more so in mid-October. But as of now, on the month, this is actually, I think I read a stat don't hold me to this, but I think this might be the first month in 2021 that we actually have a down month. So unless we have an absurd day, which I don't think is going to happen, in the month of August thus far, based on yesterday's close, the overall stock market is down 3.8%. Fed Chair Powell goes back to Capitol Hill after adjusting on inflation. So right here, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell returns to Capitol Hill, this time to testify before the House Financial Services Committee. On Tuesday, he told the Senate Banking Committee that inflation pressures could last longer than expected. Powell echoed that warning at an ECB event on Wednesday. So right here, we don't want that high inflation, folks. And like they would argue endlessly that it's transitory, which like no one who was paying attention to the situation ever agreed. I feel like it was exclusively the Federal Reserve that's like, yeah, no, it could be transitory. Like everyone else is like, no, this is actually bad. That's what happens when you put trillions of dollars into economy and basically mess up the local, like for us, the USD. No, we know it's not transitory. Like, I don't think it's surprising anyone that the inflation pressures could last longer than expected. Deal reached on government funding, but it won't include debt ceiling action. I have a little bit more about that related to the Senate of what's going on. And remember, the clock hit in midnight tonight, September 30th, for the funding. Senate passed bipartisan infrastructure bill, faces resistance in House. So this is like a whole nother, can of worms, really. The $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill faces an uncertain future. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told reporters yesterday, she wanted to pass Thursday, but she left the room to delay the vote. The package, which passed the Senate last month, is running into opposition for progressive Democrats who want action first by their party's massive $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill to bolster social safety nets. This one, not really the overall market, but I don't know. I think it's still just good to know about in terms of like the overall world and overall humanity. Facebook's safety chief is called to testify at Senate Instagram hearing. This is kind of interesting. Facebook's head of safety has been summoned to testify at Thursday's Senate Commerce Committee hearing into Instagram's effects on young users. So I'm sure you don't even need to read more of this, but the effects on young users, especially young women, horrific. Absolutely horrific. Any stat, any chart, anything you look at of what it does for stress, anxiety, depression, for everyone involved, but namely younger women, holy guacamole, it is not a good scenario. These are all exponential like growth charts, and it's growth in an area that we don't want it. I don't know if anyone here has seen that Bo Burnham special. What's it called? Inside, maybe? Great special. It's on Netflix. Check it out. But one of his songs is like about like how it's maybe not good that we sold over our souls to these like salamander-eyed tech geniuses out in SF, and like what they've been doing. I almost empathize it from the fact that like I see what I get as a 27-year-old guy doing this, and like I can't even imagine the harassment and the things that the younger kids get, especially women. Man, not good. But anyway, mounting public pressure over the revelations reported by the Wall Street Journal has prompted Facebook to put on hold its works on a kid version of Instagram. What uninformed, unempathetic, unsympathetic person at Facebook thought we needed a kid's version of Instagram? Like, who pitched that? Like, I can't even imagine sitting in the boardroom one day. They're all looking at like their fat paychecks and like the value of the stock. And they're like, all right, we just need more. We need more. And they know everything that Instagram is doing in a negative light. And they're like, let's just go younger. Let's get it to everyone. Whoever pitched that, they should not be working. Facebook, in a blog post on Wednesday, said it provided Congress with the 2 full research decks that were the primary focus of the Wall Street Journal's mischaracterization of internal Instagram research into teenagers and well-being. Mischaracterization. That's some nice legalese there. If anything, I'm assuming you should actually read this. It is interesting. I read through the Wall Street Journal. It's so bad. I mean, I'm coming from a tech background where kind of these things were discussed and like how to handle it in terms of social media. It's brutal. It's a brutal world out there. The digital Wild West of sorts. Anyway, Senate reaches a deal to avoid a government shutdown. Once again, this is the Senate. Remember, we're talking about the entire Congress. You still need the House of Representatives. The Senate has reached a deal to avoid a government shutdown. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said late Wednesday, this was last night, the legislation would fund the government into early December and provide money for hurricane relief and Afghan refugee resettlement. Congress has to pass a funding bill before midnight Thursday to avoid a shutdown. So we're looking for all of Congress. Remember, in the U.S., Congress is made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's the legislative branch. Lawmakers will have to separately raise the U.S. debt ceiling before October 18th to prevent a first ever default. This is exactly what Janet Yellen has been discussing. With her is October 18th, and I don't know why, but the word always stands out in my mind about, she's like, oh, if we don't do it, it'll be a calamity. And I don't think she's wrong. I'm in no way a fan of Janet Yellen, but I think she's right on that one, that we don't want to have our first ever default. But I just want to clarify that there's a couple things going on, and it's good to understand all of them individually. They're talking in one hand about the budget. We have the infrastructure bill, the shutdown related to Congress going on tonight. We need the House of Representatives to pass that. And then the debt ceiling's a whole nother thing. So we do have these individual things that are all in play actively today that could clearly have an undue influence on the market. So specifically watching the SPY, the Qs, IWM. In terms of the debt ceiling, this actually came out yesterday, but I think it's important just to clarify all these differences. House passes debt ceiling suspension that is doomed in the Senate. The House on Wednesday, yesterday, passed a bill that would suspend the U.S. debt ceiling. So this is the one that isn't passed. It was passed in the House, going to the Senate not going to go. So the Senate has already been good with the funding, but not the debt ceiling. And that's what I'm talking about. Of like, it could get a little bit confusing, couple things in play, but I just want to put that out there that these are all actively in play. And there we go. Before I get too crazy into it, shout out to today's sponsor, Butcher's Box. If you want free ground beef for life, check out the pinned chat, the pinned comment to the top of chat. I'm going to go into this in more detail, but basically new members right now, free ground beef for life. You're going to get up to 2 pounds in every package for the remainder of your membership with ButcherBox. I think that's an awesome deal that they are giving out to the Moon Gang. All right, let's go over some of the specifics to our AMC and GME ape fanatics. AMC, they've already borrowed $689,000 against it today. We are at 20.89%. Yesterday, we technically were a little bit higher, but we're right under an all-time high short interest for AMC. The utilization is going down to 86%. I'm getting this question a lot. How is it possible that utilization goes down when the short interest is going up and the shares on loan are going up? This is possible in the scenario that, remember, utilization is the amount of shares on loan divided by the total loanable shares. So if your total loanable shares go up, X divided by Y, if the X is going up and your overall ratio is going down, it's a little bit mathematical sleight of hand. That means that the pool of total loanable shares is going up by a greater amount. Very, very quick example. So let's say that you have shares on loan of 10 and your total pool is 20. So 10 divided by 20, your utilization would be 0.5. But you could go up to 20 shares on loan, but if your total pool goes up to 50, you're now 2 divided by 4. So your utilization goes down to 40%, but in this scenario, you would have actually doubled on your shares on loan. So it's just a little mathematical sleight of hand. It is possible. It's not indicative of any nefarious, illegal shenanigans going on in the background. It's just kind of, you have to understand where short interest, shares on loan, utilization, days to cover, cost to borrow, you have to understand how they all interplay with each other. In terms of GameStop, so not really, I mean, they borrowed $300 today. That's really nothing. Short interest above 15%. We've been noticing an interesting trend, I would say, over the past 3 weeks. Ever since, well, you could look at July where the estimated short interest for GameStop was down at 8.11%. Then it kind of bottomed out again around 10%. But look at this trend. Ever since mid-August, over the past, I guess, month and a half now, slowly but surely going up to 15.21%. That's where we're at right now. I'm going to be interested if it could break this August 4th estimation high at 16.5. But please remember, this is an estimated short interest. This is Ortex doing the best it can with all of the information. Basically, it's looking at the shares on loan, which it gets because it has the information from 85% of legal, legitimate transactional volume. It's missing 15% of the legal, legitimate picture and 100% of the illegal, illegitimate picture. No one has that data. By definition, that data is not reported. That's why it's illegal and illegitimate. So right here, out of everything that's like above board, Ortex has vision of 85% of it. So it's missing 15%. So because of it, it does its best to estimate. It looks at how many shares on loan. It extrapolates out to try to best estimate what the remaining 15% would be. And then from there, it tries to come up with a proportionate rate of the shares on loan that are actually short. Remember, you can take shares on loan without going short. That's a very, very important key distinction. Just because it's out on loan does not mean it has to go short. Obviously, they are highly correlated. Why would you take it out on loan and pay the cost to borrow without going short? But sometimes people are worried that when the utilization is starting to get higher, they don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So there is a theoretical scenario in which they might take out the loan for a couple days before actually going into the short position. You don't see that like incredibly often, but it is a possibility. And that's exactly why we're looking at estimated short interest. And it's also why we're looking at return shares instead of short covered shares. Depending on how you look at this data, I get this a lot of, oh, is it delayed? Is it not delayed? What is, what isn't? So all of these numbers up on the top here in this row are updated every single morning. And obviously these live updates, they're updated live throughout the day. So nothing is delayed as in its presentation to us. But the best way you could interpret it is utilization shares on loan are very much real time. There's no delay to that. I don't know who pushes this rhetoric that there's some sort of 2-day delay. In fact, the only time there would be a 2-day delay is if we were talking about shorts covered, but we're not talking about shorts covered. We're talking about return shares. As of now, due to the vision that Ortex has and with GME, 100 shares were returned today. It's not shorts covered. If it was shorts covered, that would then be, you could argue that there would be a 2-day delay there because we work on a T+2 settlement cycle. But depending on how you want to interpret it, there is I don't know, not really philosophical, but there's a legitimate argument that the short interest we're seeing is delayed by 2 days with the estimation coming in. So I could understand that argument, but it would be exclusively here and nothing else would be delayed. Just so we're kind of all, we're all on the same page and understanding the same thing there. So here is where we are at with AMC. It's not looking the best as of recently. In fact, ever since September 13th, AMC has not been looking that good. So we had this beautiful run up basically from August 5th, August 11th, all the way up to September 13th. And then we're just giving back those gains. And right now we're at the same levels that we were at in mid-August. So from a technical level, I'm kind of watching the support, resistance, support, resistance, and support. Basically, the mid 34s, the higher 34s. I marked out 3470, give or take how many ever cents you want. This is the level I'm actively watching right now. That's the closest support. Below that, we have additional support in the lower 32s. In terms of resistance, I'm watching the low 37s, and we have some at the key psychological level at 40. But these are the levels I'm watching. What we've been noticing, though, is over the past, I would say, week or two, we're getting a better indication of what AMC and GME will do by watching the overall markets. It doesn't really seem like AMC and GME are bucking the trend of the main indices that we're paying attention to. So if you want to get a better idea of what AMC and GME may or might not do, I would say pay attention to the overall markets. And to get a better idea of what the overall markets might do, you have to kind of be up to date of what our government is deciding to do with the keeping the government open, the debt ceiling, the infrastructure bill, the budget, all that good jazz. So I think it's all coming from the top right now because like that it's been the SPYs, the Qs, and IWM that's really kind of running everything. I mean, I guess at a certain point you could also argue the yields and the bonds going down have been having a big influence specifically on high growth sector in the Qs, but that's a whole different rant. But if you want a better idea of this, I strongly believe the movement we see in these guys so much more related at this moment in time into what the overall market is doing. So for GME, we had this nice support at 178. Yesterday we broke it. That is not a good situation. I'm hoping it's a fake out breakdown and we just are bouncing right off of this. Obviously, also been selling off pretty much for all of September. GME has had a rough go of it in the month of September. So we're looking for support to be found very, very soon. Just so you know, there is additional support at some of these levels right around here that we had, I guess, mid-August. So you could watch just below 170. I'd obviously prefer we don't test there. I want a quick U-turn on both AMC and GME. The earlier, the better. In terms of crypto, still kind of going nowhere. Just to let everyone know, I loaded up on Ethereum last night. Why did I load up on Ethereum? Part of me thinks I was, I guess, acting emotionally. I saw how much I was down on my AMC and GME position yesterday, and like I think I just like emotionally lashed out and decided I need to buy something else to try to make up some of these gains. That's not a good way to be. It's not. You should not be trading emotionally. You should in no way. That's a very, very silly proposition, but I did it last night. I bought a lot of Ethereum, and so I think part of it had to do with my own displeasure and how much my overall like just trading accounts. Like if I look at my stock, my futures, and my crypto, obviously my stocks and my futures taking a big hit recently. So I was like, oh, like maybe I could come up with it, maybe make up these gains in crypto. So I was like, okay, Ethereum sub 3,000, and I bought a lot. I bought a lot. I think it was partly an emotional reaction to how things have been going for the month of September. On top of that, though, I'm also getting jealous of all these people who are making disgusting amounts of money trading NFTs. So I was like, okay, I'll get a couple of Ethereum to buy a couple of NFTs. Maybe I could swap it there. I don't know. This was more of a like a shoot first, think about it later. And I want to express this because I need to articulate how utterly stupid that is. No one should be doing that. And I just want you to know that even me doing this for a while, I still have my own like official, like emotional lash outs when I even see that my account is getting hit so hard. But I want to articulate it with you because I'm trying to share my entire full trading experience. And I also want you to know that like I broke half my rules. Like it's stupid. You shouldn't be breaking your rules. You have your rules for a reason. And usually you can get lucky once in a while, but if you continually break your rules, one time you're going to break it and it's going to end up costing you big. So maybe I'll get lucky here. Sometimes it's better to have luck than skill. And I hope it goes out, but if you do it time and time again, it's just a matter before you get like seriously burned. But anyway, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano not really do anything. Bitcoin is pretty much flat. Ethereum is pretty much flat. Cardano down near its $2 mark. Would love for it to hold too. Really, I want this up at 3, 4, 5. Hex getting a nice pump recently over the past 4 hours. Would love for this to go up to 50 cents. I'm long on all of these, just so everyone knows. Obviously, right now I have no IWM or SPY position, but obviously I'm still very much long on AMC and GME. Let's talk about some other stocks that people have been really mentioning. So Lucid had a it ended up giving those gains back. Yesterday, Lucid Motors, an EV higher end luxury play, EV play within the US, had an interesting morning because they came out with like basically their production and they're going to be ramping up, and that was exciting. I'm a fan of Lucid. I don't actively trade it in any manner. To me, this is a pretty solid long-term EV play, especially in the US sector. If you look at them, to me, they're pretty awesome looking cars. They have great range from a technical perspective, way smaller than Tesla. I mean, Lucid is a $42 billion company, while on the other hand, Tesla is a $773 billion. So they're not really comparable in size. Like I would say that Tesla's like the juggernaut and Lucid's like a very interesting, but still quite a bit smaller play. But I like Lucid. I really do. As a medium to long-term play, I'm basically looking for a nice technical breakout of 30. You could argue that we have a cup and handle going on from if you're looking in the short to medium term frame. But this region of supply between 20 and 30, I'm looking for that to kind of mess around there, the stock to mess around the price action, and eventually looking for the breakout of 30. And one day, one glorious day, I think there's going to be a gap fill back up to 56. So once again, not actively trading Lucid. I think it's a great long-term play. What else do we have? People very interested in CEI lately. The oil and gas world has been crushing it. Looks like we have a very nice gap up. I mean, yesterday, what we closed at 342, currently trading at 414, which means it's up 21% in pre-market. Remember yesterday, it ran, and then what, 3 or 4 volatility halts, kind of starting at 215, halt. People started selling. Some big person got out, and then it triggered halt and went down. Remember, CEI does have a considerable short interest, around 36%. It's not on the threshold list, and it's kind of more of a medium flow. And this thing trades in size. It almost traded 1 billion shares yesterday, 988 million. This thing trades serious size, so much that it greatly eclipses the amount of shorts time and time again. So before, there was that one Fox correspondent who was saying, oh, the shorts could cover easily in AMC, and we looked at the numbers. Well, we're like, not really. On CEI, they truly could. I mean, I think there's about 35 million shares out on loan, and we're trading 1 billion. They truly could cover like very quickly. But remember, you don't need a short squeeze for a stock to move up. If there's just crazy momentum and people are getting fanatic about it, you can still continue to get these moves. I think AMC and GME has almost blinded some of these new traders to think that the only way a stock goes up is a short squeeze and the only way it falls down is because of shorting. I mean, it can happen that way, but that's not like the way a stock has to move. It's still everything is always inherently moving on supply and demand. What's the supply? What's the demand? And they're going to meet at the price, aka equilibrium. But CEI looking strong. Obviously, my first watch, would be yesterday's high, which is coming in at 485. In the meantime, you could watch this 420 level, kind of got rejected late last night. A little bit of a dancing around here. So you could watch that out of the gate. We're at 415 right now, but I would mainly be watching 485 on CEI. FAMI, and I have no CEI position, just so everyone knows, but I was reading a bit more about, I guess their CEO is like an all-star. He came into the company, he's like truly pivoting it around. So this might not be a flash in the like the pan on CEI, but that's something I think if you're in CEI, you should look into. All right, FAMI up 36% in pre-market. This one's also crushing it. This is another one I don't have a position on, but many people have been talking about it. Same thing, because it's a legitimate FTD short squeeze play. Right. I mean, you got the gap fill. We've been talking about the gap fill on FAMI. So if you're in that, that's awesome. This is the point, depending on your risk reward tolerance. Maybe you want to peel some off, pyramid out some of your position. Because remember, we're gapping up. So now we have almost a double gap situation. We're going to we're not even going to fill this gap. It's gapping over a double gap. There's now 3 awkward gaps. Like we have this gap, a down gap, and now an up gap. So many gaps galore on FAMI. But regardless, if you're in it, congratulations. Maybe this is the point where you want to lock some in and then let some runners, or if you're just happy with it, take it all. Or if you're feeling super lucky today because you don't want to pay attention to other stocks, maybe you want to ride it all and see how much it goes. This is now up to you, and that's the point of having a trading plan. If it were me, I would take a portion of my profits here. I mean, I love locking in on some 37% gap ups. But that's also me. That's not for everyone. Like, we're all going to have different trading styles, methodologies, personalities. So with all of that, this is the point of where you need the trading plan. But if things get super crazy, don't forget about the gap up to 79 cents. With the way this is moving, that is not like the craziest price level to be discussing on FAMI. But with it, CEI, FAMI, why is this not marking? I do not have positions on any of those, but these are the levels I'd be watching there. What other ones do we have rocking today? Or here, let me go to some of these questions. Keep tweeting Citadel scandal. I don't know, honestly, if you ask me, like I think it should be something like Robinhood Citadel scandal, RH Cit scandal, Robinhood scandal. Because some of the things that we're seeing, to me, if I were a prosecutor, which I know, like I've watched Suits. I watched that, like the Meghan Markle, like Gabriel, whatever his name is. That's my law knowledge. Is I've watched Suits, which for some reason I'm going to say it's probably not similar to like most law, but with it. To me, it seems like Robinhood is the one that's in like more deep shit than Citadel at the moment in time. I mean, the president selling his AMC, that looks so incredibly bad. Very quickly, ATER, now that it broke down below 11.20, I think $9 is in play, but it actually hit 9.40. I would kind of watch this. Interesting pre and post market. ATER, let's see how it kind of opens up and how the market reacts to it. But let's get going on the day. We only have we have 15 seconds. Let me get ready. All right, we are good over here. We are good. Ding, ding, ding. The casino is open. All right. Let's see what we're doing today, folks. Let's see what we are doing. What is our government gonna do today? Let's get rocking. GME, super low volume. AMC, super low volume. SPY showing some strength. But the Russell getting hit. How are the Qs looking this morning? The Qs are looking good. Interesting. I wonder why, hang on. I wonder why we have that going on, the discrepancy between them. Very notable discrepancy. Huh. Two 220.60. Okay, AMC currently at 34.67. GME currently at 173.46. The SPY trying to show, but the Russell right here, selling on this one. All right, what else do we have? Can you lay out a scenario for how AMC and GME stock will react if Citadel is held accountable and if they are not financial advice? I would assume it's something where it's like locked up in the legal system for quite a while, and I don't think AMC and GME will really have like a reaction. It's probably one of these things that will be like a class action lawsuit, and you hear about the result of it years later. Remember, our justice system, no one's ever accused it of being fast. Hey, Marcus, took a few Prague lottos yesterday. It's up 15%. Thanks for whoever called that yesterday. Ortex update on Prague. Use my free trial already. All right. So that was Wall Street Viking calling out Prague. Ortex, Prague. So the short interest on PROG is 45.27%, utilization 98, and the shares on loan 11.44 million. Hey, Matt, can you take a look at HLBZ? Stock got hammered yesterday. Reversion play. Also, MEC feels like a bit it did in May. I hope. I mean, I don't know necessarily like what you're feeling there, but we need some buyers to step in. HLBZ, this is a super ugly chart. Like so many gaps. It just seems like a tough trade. Folks, I'm of the mindset that trading is hard enough. So when I see charts, I want a nice layup of a trade, not some crap where there's I mean, it's downtrending, but you have a gaps above it, below it. I would just not trade it, especially movies and entertainment. Folks, I'm already loaded to the gills on a movies entertainment stock. I don't need another one at this point. Hi, Matt. AMC currently with a short interest above 20%. How many short interest GME January of 2021 before the squeeze? It was in excess of 100%, but that's kind of comparing apples to oranges. Different scenario, different short interest, different float, kind of different media coverage. So just to compare one short interest to another, it's not the way you should be doing it, especially when the stocks have very, very dissimilar floats. Hey man, just in case you forgot, how about them Cowboys? Yeah, the Cowboys smoked the Eagles. Smoked them. 780 strike. 780 strike. Are you talking about Tesla? Tesla flat on the day, 781. What are your thoughts on FAMI? Looking very, very good. I don't have a position, but it seems like it's having a pretty good run lately. I'm seeing some people comment about FAMI. Continued. Man, let's see how this one plays out. Is ATER on the threshold list? The last time I checked it was, let me check very quickly for you. NASDAQ threshold list, ATER. Yes, ATER is still on it. So is HLBZ. People were just asking me that. KPLT. What are the other ones that people ask me about? EVGO is, I got that once. FFIE is still on it. And I think those are all the ones that I mainly get asked about. Prague breaks 124 of it could run. Shout out Wall Street Viking. I hate bullies. Citadel scandal. Shout out Ron. FAMI had some news acquiring 70 million in another company, but it is no longer on the threshold list. Shout out Brambles. Please check Ortex tweet regarding corrected ATER numbers. All right. Where are we at? Twitter. You want me to check Ortex? After discussions with S&P, we provide our free float data. They have reviewed recent SEC filings at a request and agreed that the free float for ATR should be 45.39% of shares outstanding. After the adjustments, ATR estimation is 44.6% for the short interest on ATR. We're grateful for those who asked about the most recent update to free float. We have no objective other than to provide accurate, timely data that help make people the best investment decisions for themselves. Prague running, looking for volume, follow through. Citadel got mad, nice dip. More for me. Trader TV Live said they would love to have you on. I would love to talk to those guys. They've been doing this for quite a while. I look up to them and I definitely respect them. All right, where are we at? Spy cues, all of this stuff very, very indecisive right now. I'm looking at the overall market. So IWM, unfortunately, going down, going south for the end of September, I suppose. AMC update is at 3470. GME is at 171. GME and AMC both have very, very low volume. On a relative basis, I would argue that GME has lower volume right now, but AMC is still considerably low, especially what we're somewhat used to. Good morning, Matt. Can you check on BLIN? Got in yesterday and it looks nice. BLIN. I could give you my quick opinion on it. BLIN, to me, it just actually looks a bit boring. It just looks like I wouldn't say anything positive or negative. It just seems like there's not much rain, not much movement. So if you like it, I hope you like it for a fundamental reason of like where you think the company is going to go. But from a technical thing, it's not bullish, it's not bearish, it's just kind of neutral is how I would interpret it myself. Today's Adam Aaron's birthday. Shout out Cootery. Are you and Riley manipulating the market to your whims? Texas Roadhouse on an uptrend. Could fundamentals be driving the stock? TXRH. How's TXRH doing? You know me, loving Texas Roadhouse. This Texas Roadhouse market cap is 6.4 billion. We all know with Riley Reid and I stepping in, the market cap going straight to 69 billion. That's just facts. Shoot first, think about it later also leads to children. Overall, very dangerous sentiment. Shout out Cootery. Dang, the Twitter censorship getting crazy. Wait, Big Bob, what happened with Twitter censorship? Cat Moores, good morning, Matt. Got some MMAT puts yesterday looking very weak to me. Any thoughts? I thought MMAT was looking strong recently. You're saying now, that this push might be over. So if you're in it on a put play, you'd be like I would closely watch 650. If it got above 650, I'd be like, nope, the bulls are not done. They're ripping. And if I was looking for a target, I'd be watching for 5 or maybe 477. This is the support I would watch, and this is the resistance I'd watch. And if you're bullish or bearish, you could play that accordingly. MMAT, though, it has been on a nice move since the 23rd. So maybe you're just playing a bit of a breather. Can you give a shout out to my mom? She's watching you. Trey's chest hair's mom. Shout out. Good morning, Mike. With everyone piling into those penny stocks, we all know your underlying love for penny stocks. Any thoughts on METX? There's a baby gap. METX. METX. I mean, it's definitely turning back around. I would kind of want to know how it reacts roughly to 42 cents. After that, I'd feel good about 52. And if it still has this momentum, I would watch 69. But there's a couple levels to watch before there. 42, 52, and then that's what I'd be paying attention to. The risk is a bit wide. Your most reasonable risk is probably 30 cents. So if you're okay with that risk reward paradigm, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's not optimal. But hey, if you're feeling lucky... I wish you the best of luck. Briley Reed, best business partners ever. Bought 15 Tesla 780 December 17, 2021, puts at 64.75. Thoughts on the trade? Bought 15 Tesla 780. So you're betting against Tesla for December. So if you're just generically saying, okay, like this has gotten hot, hang on. If you're so you have like kind of a medium term bet going on. If you just think that the technicals are hot and it's going to take a breather maybe to 740, 750, I think that's reasonable. Longer term, I'm still bullish on Tesla. But if you're saying, okay, at some point in the next month or two, there's going to be like some sort of like break just because the technicals are hot, I think that's reasonable. I mean, Tesla has been known to blow people out of the water, so I wouldn't get like absurdly, like, I don't know, dime in hand on that particular play. But I don't know. I see what you're saying, and I think there's some credence to it. But also remember, you're asking me about Tesla, and the stock I am most accurate on trading is Tesla, but it's almost 100% inaccurate. So if you're looking at a magnitude of what I am best at calling, I am best at being perfectly wrong on Tesla. So please keep that in mind with anything I do or don't say about it. Hey, Matt, thoughts on RKT? I'm thinking it has a dollar move in it, not just sure about Rocket Mortgages. Rocket Companies, no. It looks super weak. It just made a new all-time low. I would not want to catch a falling knife. I don't know where the bottom is. It either needs to bounce now in the low 16s or this thing might continue to fall. How's ATER looking? ATER, yesterday I warned everyone about the low 9s. It looks like we're heading there. I would watch 9.15. If it breaks below that, the next watch is probably sub 8. Please be careful. It's just breaking through levels of support. What's your input on Robinhood picking up Shiba Inu in the future? Stay rad, Matt. I don't really give too many opinions to what Robinhood is picking up or not picking up. I'm not a fan of it. Robinhood, I don't care what they're doing with their crypto. Shiba Inu being picked up maybe by more legitimate companies. I don't know, Coinbase, Gemini, Voyager. Like there's so many good legitimate companies. I don't care who Robinhood is or isn't picking up. But talking about Shiba Inu in general, I think they have quite a bit of a task in front of them. It seems like the ethos of their value, they're going to have to try to convert a lot of Doge people. And I just don't know if they're going to do it. Like Doge people are very much entrenched in Doge. You are the best Tesla trader on this side of the Mississippi. Shout out Saucy Ramen. Matt, 197 calls on GME for October 15th. Thoughts? Not the biggest fan of it. Right now, AMC and GME both have very low volume, very low volatility. It is not the environment. We're not seeing an upswing in volume or volatility. So I think a lot of people are just going to get burned on their premium if you're playing options on these. The way to play options on these right now is probably some sort of spreads or like covered calls or something along those lines. If you don't think AMC is going to move much in the short time frame, I mean, I think covered calls, AMC, GME, or any stock. If you're in a stock and you like the position, but you don't think it's going to be moving in the short time frame, covered calls are a great way to make some extra premium. What else do we have? What about DATS? Stats. It's been running like crazy, showing a little bit of red now. Probably, it seems indecisive. You have an inside day. You could watch 1240. Maybe it's going to come down there and bounce, or maybe it's going to break down, and then you could play puts down to 9. But right now, I don't see it currently as a play. Like I would need more of a development, more of a trend. More of a development, more of a trend. All right, so AMC bouncing off at 34.62 up to 35.16 right now. The intraday high is like basically 35.5. FAMI not doing a whole heck of a lot. ATER is selling. BBIG kind of in the middle, showing a little bit of strength. What else do we have? GREE down. GREE is just like, I guess, perpetually in the red at this point. Kind of strange. CEI, how's that one doing today? CEI, so we went from 435, right now we're at 392, so it's obviously up on the day, but let's see how it battles it out at 4. How are the Qs doing? What's NASDAQ up to? The NASDAQ is looking a bit weak. Actually, yeah, it's definitely looking weak. SPY, not as weak as the NASDAQ, but indecisive. The IWM, though, trying to fight back. IWM, let's see what we got going there. 221.50. Let's see what we have cooking on the IWM front. All right, IWM trying to pick up, SPY trying to pick up. This should bode well for AMC. Hey, Matt, mind taking a peek at ALF? I got a pretty solid risk to reward, just low volume. It definitely has its spikes of volume, though. ALF. It looks weak to me. Like, it needs to not go much lower. If it goes below 665, I would be concerned about a gap fill all the way down to $30.50. What is this? A package software? I don't know. It's not really moving much ever since September 14th, but if it doesn't start bouncing soon, just be mindful of this gap fill from mid-June. Question, how do all the shorts know when the others get out? It seems like they have an unspoken bond to never cover. They don't. Remember, with it's Wall Street is a very cutthroat world. They're not going to be, they care about themselves first. Like, by and large, that's who they care about. So I don't know if there's really credence of, I don't think they know. Like, maybe they're in there trying to help each other out, but trust me, they care about their own book, their own P&L way more than they care about anyone else. And in fact, if shorts do want to cover, they want to be the first to cover. So it's not like they're like, oh, okay, like, I'll let you know and you could cover some, then I'll cover some. Like, they care about their own book, and I would like vehemently argue that. When AMC stocks, will that give other stocks in the Russell 2000 a major boost? Not necessarily. I could see some sympathy plays in terms of movie theaters and other highly shorted stocks, but not generically all the other 2000 stocks in the Russell 2000. Hey, Matt, obviously the attention is on Hood, but for what it's worth, back in January, the UK app Free Trade also removed the buy button on GME. Oh, so many did. Webull did. At a certain point, E-Trade did. TD did. Many brokerages did. The issue there is the other things that happened. Was Citadel involved in this decision to position close only AMC and GME? Were these other brokerages, did high up people in the company sell their positions before they started to do it? The crux of this argument is not did they PCO it, it's how did they PCO it, what came to that decision, and who benefited off of it. But many brokerages stopped the purchasing of AMC and GME beyond Robinhood exclusively. What are my thoughts on LICY? I mean, it's been ripping. I'm not going to chase it. It's been doing nothing but like run. We had a nice technical breakout at 1245. At this point, where we got smacked at 14 right in here. I would just be watching this 14 line where it got hit today. If it pushes from there, I'd be watching 1577. If you're already in it, congrats, ride the trend. The trend is your friend. Let your winners ride. But this is not the moment for me to get in. Just a little bit too much risk involved. Do you think ENJ can work its way up to 380? I mean, anything can happen. It's looking strong. Like, could it work its way up to 380? Yeah, that's totally, like, that's a major resistance. I think it's possible. The technicals are a little hot, so it might take some time. Like, maybe it needs to come down, take a breather, let the RSI cool off before it finds a new batch of buyers, a new influx of demand, potentially. But is 380 possible for this stock? Yeah, it's possible, for sure. For sure. All right, AMC is pushing. Second attempt, please read Twitter DM Wool Rage. We unfortunately my DMs are just like not my. What is this? Okay, I mean I see it. All right, Woolridge. I'm reading it right now. I'll have to come back to it. I'll do this off stream. Matt, thoughts on you? Much respect. All right, let's see what uranium's. Let's see what's going on in the world of uranium. Ooh, I like this risk reward. I do. I mean, you could risk 623, which is about 40 cents, for the potential of 743, maybe even more. The risk reward right here is a beautiful setup, because if it breaks below whatever, let's call it 620, that's an easy cut. Quick, 40 cents. Okay, no harm, no foul. A little bit of harm, a little bit of foul, but the risk reward, this is a nice setup. It's swinging back around. This is exactly what I talk about. If something runs and if I'm like, oh, shoot, I missed it, I wait for the weakness and then I look for the demand to come right back in. So if you wanted to, maybe on the more of the medium time frame, see how the 2-hour MACDs, it's starting to gear up. I think it's interesting. This is some strength. And the risk is just nice and close. That's all it is like, whenever I get into a play, I never know what's going to happen next. All I know is the risk reward optimal? And then you're always just taking an optimal risk to reward play time and time again. Good morning. Your thoughts on DRS, short interest risking 360K CS account, have decided to DRS. As in the risk, short interest risking 360K CS account, have decided to DRS. Thank you. Are you talking about like there's a stock, but then also that's the computer share thing? So K Gordon, if you could just send one of the mods a clarification of what you're asking about. Your thoughts on DRS, short interest risking 360K computer shares account. Now, I think you're asking about computer share. I cannot be supportive of it because I can't sit here and tell everyone to get on computer share because I don't think people fully understand how immobile that makes you. If for you in the AMC and GME situation, put a premium on being able to get in and out of position quickly, you don't want to be on computer share. I do like computer share in the sense of like it does seemingly help cut down on FTDs, which I like. And you obviously, if you don't want to lend yours out, you don't have to do that. So that's very, very interesting. But please understand if you're in it and you want to be like actively selling at like an exact moment and super, super agile, that is not what you're going to want to be on. So just, I'm not against it, but I can't sit here and tell everyone they should be on it. I can sit here and tell everyone that they should be on non-payment for order flow, non-dark pool, non-market maker brokerages such as Public. Just turn off your lending. But like for the computer share thing, look into it. That's the only serious advice I could give, is like you're definitely going to want to look into it. What else do we have? Hey, Matt, great name. Secrets to looking so good. Yeah, I get this question a lot about like, how's my skin complexion so solid? How do I have such a filled out beard? Why is my hair so soft yet looks so sturdy? The secret is Dawn dish soap. If it's good enough for baby ducklings that get caught in an oil spill, it's good enough for me. I use Dawn dish soap for everything. My hair, my skin, brushing my teeth, cleaning my windows, whatever it is, Dawn dish soap is my go-to. If it's good enough for baby ducks, it's good enough for me. Great question. Thank you. All right. People are asking about DATS. Stats. Yeah, this one, there's no move right now. There's no trend. There's nothing in the middle. Like it's an inside day. I don't see a trend right now. It's been moving up nicely, but is it so much that it needs to cool off? To me, DATS would be a difficult trade right now. Hence, I would just not trade it. Thoughts on BBBBY? Didn't this one get rocked? Yeah, they got murdered on their earnings announcement. It was not a good situation. So if you happen to have puts yesterday, you're good. Other than that, I mean, I wouldn't play the gap fill until I start seeing a little bit more momentum on Bed Bath & Beyond. But this is why it's down. They got decimated on their earnings. It was a bloodbath. FBRX. Super biotech with a super low volume, so I already don't like it. Now, I mean, I'm not seeing momentum. Maybe one day it gap fills, but right now there's like no momentum. In fact, there's bearish momentum if you zoom in. LAC. LAC has an interesting gap fill potential, but I also like LAC just because there's such a low supply and high demand for lithium right now. This also kind of somewhat relates to the chip shortage we're currently hearing about quite a bit. So I like it in the short term. A gap fill, what's this, about 70, 80 more cents. But beyond that, I think LAC could just be a good hold because of what's going on with lithium right now. The demand between EVs, processing chips, the fundamental argument for LAC, it's a pretty good one. More news outlets and media are starting to pick up the Citadel lawsuit story. The first hint of lawsuits could scare investors out of Citadel. Oops. Good morning, Matt. What are your thoughts on PALT, risk and reward? PALT. The risk reward is... It's not, I don't know even if it exists. It's an inside day. It's a gap up. This is funky. The risk would maybe be 540. The reward, I don't know. It's not far away from an all-time high. PALT, if you're not already in it, that's a super tough trade. I believe it got recently uplisted from the gray market to the NASDAQ, and I think that's kind of what's going on here right now. But in terms of risk reward on a technical, like it's a gap up inside day. This is funky. That's a tough technical trade. Is LIDR dead? Kind of looks like it's dying, a new all-time low. I don't even know what I would risk. It's just selling off. It's trying to catch a knife. Just loaded up on Dawn calls. Selling on computer share is instant. They charge a $25 fee plus 12 cents per share to sell. Funds are direct deposited, or you can get a check. Jackie, so this is what I've been kind of seeing on Reddit about it, is that this is computer shares by and far encouraged for people who are like someone like Warren Buffett, a super long-term investor, not like an active trader, especially when like you care about if you're trying to top tick a short squeeze, I don't think computer shares where you're going to want to be at. If you think it's fine, like I'm not telling anyone to not do it. I'm just saying, please look into it, because I don't want people to be battling this out for the better part of an entire year to then like get to the finish line just to kind of get screwed over by like a little thing at the end. So if you're going to do it, I am not going to computer share. I'm not necessarily for it. I'm not necessarily against it. I'm telling you to check, but I do not believe that is accurate. I do not believe selling on computer share is instant. The evidence I've been reading, the commentary is that actually the opposite is true. The only way to stop them from lending your shares is to DRS. Also, you can sell in minutes on CS. This is known. Research it, Matt. I'm seeing a lot of contradictory things of people like literally showing their videos of trying to sell on computer share. Like people have been, and that's what I'm saying is, I mean, with this one, this is not the molehill I'm going to die on. If you want to do computer share, do it. There's a lot more things to discuss of like what's going on, and I think that's a nuance that we could care about later. I'm not supportive of it. I'm not against against it. I'm just saying please look into it, because it's not as mobile as people are trying to pitch it. And actually, I think Reddit has already been like fully into this, especially on Superstonk. Superstonk has already had some very, very impressive write-ups about it. So just check that out. Check it out from people in the community who have like fully dove into it. But this is the computer share DRS thing. There's no way that's going to be like the thing I like am going to be like arguing about and wasting time like doing more DD on, just because there's way more important things than that. And also there's other ways to make sure your shares are not lent out. You don't have to specifically be on computer share. You can easily set sells on, there's plenty of proof of it. Set sell limits. Okay. Do you think sell limits are the best way to handle a short squeeze? I don't. There's no way I would want to be dealing with sell limits on AMC and GME in the event of a short squeeze. No way I would ever want to do that. That's just like, that's asking for getting out of the party way too soon. Bought some DKNG looking to fill 917 gap of 60, also gap of 720 around 46. How do you evaluate the gap will be filled first? Well, first of all, there's going to be luck to it. But this is what I was kind of mapping out of how I really like this region. So I'm a fan of DraftKings. I'm bullish on the online sports betting sector. And when we get into this region, there's quite a bit of demand here. I would love to pick up the closer to obviously 45, the better. DraftKings is coming to a region for me that this is a point like where I would load up in a long-term portfolio. And in fact, I might just do that a little bit lower. This is a long-term play. I'm not going to actively trade it, but we know we have demand here. The RSI is oversold. The MACD is pretty overextended. A lot of things coming in for the argument of a legitimate reversion play. Specifically watching 46. But to answer your question of like, how do you evaluate what's filled first? I mean, there's going to be luck involved. Like, I don't think there's like one indicator where I'm like, oh, this gap has to get filled first. Like there's nothing that's really ever that straightforward in the market of saying like, this has to do this has to do it. There's always the stock market is a game where you pretty much live in the gray area and not too much black and white. Notice the trend on AMC. On the daily, we have about a 13-day trend down with a few green days after the run-up. Today is the 14th of the latest rundown. Shout out, Evan. Thoughts on ICUP? What's up, Ben Dover? Matt, AMC in the 4-hour time frame, if it touches 28 and bounces, can we begin to form a W? Well, I guess I don't know what W you're really watching. Like, are you looking at like a mega W where we still need to form like the other part? I guess if we touch 28. So you're saying come down here. So the mega W, 28, up, down, up. I mean, it could be. It definitely, that's a possibility. I think this is like the full range you're looking at. That would be a huge W, but a W nonetheless. Speaking of DraftKings Cubs, did you write me yesterday? I did not, Jake. All right, what else? How are the Qs looking right now? How are the Qs looking? All right, GME, the Bears seem to be in control right now. It's at 170. AMC is at 35. Where are our buyers? Where's the SPY at right now? Shout out to Matt from Altoona. Ape Strong since March 1st. Buy and hodl AMC. What do you think about corn futures? I know a lot of the farmers in Canada had a bad yield for corn. What would that make the price go higher? Oh, brother. I have not been tracking corn, but if your thesis is correct, like if there's an undersupply, that would naturally drive the price up. That would definitely naturally drive the price up. All right, IWM looking a little bit weak. SPY looking a little bit weak. What are we doing, team? What are we doing, market? IWM, don't do this. GME, don't do this. All right, Tesla is up at 784. ATR is down. BBIG is down. CEI is at $4 still, 396, up 16%. AMC is down 1.2%. GME is down 3.6%. SPY, Qs, IWM, they're technically all up. That's more of like a gap up because the sell-off to end the day yesterday was pretty brutal. So they're technically all in the green. SPY's up by 0.26%. The Qs are up by 0.7%. And IWM's up by 0.2%. How come Hood no die today? I guess the market doesn't really care about what's going on, or maybe, well, I mean, it is down 1%. I would be watching 40. I think Hood has the ability to free fall if it goes below 40. From there, I don't know, I'd be kind of watching like 33, maybe. 33. What are you doing, SPY? What are you doing, IWM? All right, AMC is at 35. The sell-off in the SPY and in the Russell 2000 is not a good for individual stocks. All right, let's see. Let's see what this decides to do. Is it going to catch itself right here? Was there any political developments of what the debt thing is? Let me double check this for all of us. Let me give it a quick. We have this. All right. Watch Powell and Yellen testify live on COVID response before House committee. So that started 20 minutes ago. So Powell and Yellen discussing, I guess, the COVID response committee could be a negative thing. Could definitely be a negative thing. Looks like AMC is bouncing off the 24 EMA on the weekly chart. Can you take a look? It also has a higher low. The 24 EMA. Yeah, I mean, This is strange though to use. I don't know if I'd be a fan of using this time frame. So you're using the most recent 24 weeks when calculating this line, and that's a pretty long time frame for a stock that I think the data for us of the craziness of AMC is only like pretty much valid over the past, 10 months, 9 months, like basically this calendar year. You're taking in like all of this in here is using data from 2020. And I just don't know if that would be the most applicable, because AMC has like just been like the technicals completely changed. Fundamentals have completely changed ever since this run up in January. So if we're using data from before 2021, I just don't know if that's like valid to necessarily use. It has previously bounced off of this level. If we bounce again, like one bounce isn't going to do it for me. If it bounces here, I might give it a little bit more weight of like the validity of this line, but once again, like one bounce, that could just be coincidental. So I hope it bounces. Like I hope you're right, but I'm just saying I wouldn't like value this as a line until we actually get the bounce. And on this one specifically, get above whatever the week high is, basically 41. All right, there's a little bit of a bounce. There we go, IWM. There we go. There we go. Please check RCAT space drones. RCAT Red Cat Holdings space drones up 7.4% on the day. Gapped up, recently filled this gap, has some momentum. I don't know much about them. I would want to dive a little bit into their fundamentals, but I would watch 424, and then you have a gap fill potential up to like 480. So if this can continue to build, this would just be my first watch. 424 and then 480 is how I would mess around with this one. But please be careful, because there is a gap to the bottom side at 250. What else do we have? Derek, you now have me more interested in this whole corn futures thing. I didn't know that a lot of farmers in Canada had a bad yield. Maybe a money-making opportunity. Maybe. All right. Coffee break, team. Coffee break. All right. Hex looking strong. Bitcoin sideways. Ethereum sideways. Cardano, hopefully we're just staying above this $2 mark. What else do we have? How is Matic doing? Matic down on that one. I got in at 150. Solana, I'm in at my break-even price, 137. RCAT, so in some strength. How's FAMI looking? FAMI, just so many weird gaps. You have this gap, like it's just gapping all over the place. Hey Matt, I transferred my Robinhood account to public. Just want to give you a head up that Robinhood sold some of my shares without my permission during the transfer. That seems super, super strange. If I were you, I would get on the line with customer service. Like, and I know that takes some time and like frustration, but that's unacceptable. Corn Future sounds a lot like Duke Brothers. What's up, Matt? Shout out Flex Symmetry. What do we have here? Shout out Scotty K. The ATR thing about fixing with the S&P. If we hit 45 today, can you eat the hot chip? Vinny, yes. Matt, make a CS account and prove it then, because I checked myself. I'm not going to be making a computer share account. And like I said, that's not, I don't know, like the computer share thing is not going to be the thing that solves our problem, like whatsoever. So I feel like in terms of time and energy of where we put our efforts, like if you think that it's going to help you on computer share, have at it. I have my reservations about it, but like they're not strong reservations. Like I'm not digging my heels in about this computer share thing. I'm just not going to use it myself. So if you like it and if you think it helps it, okay. But we have way, way bigger fish to fry than computer share. I'm a farmer and I actually I'm actually hodling corn. No need to trade futures. Please check out the Prague flow. Let's actually check out all these. AMC, the flow today, a little bit bullish, 50.7 versus 49.3. GME, a little bit bearish. We have, let's check out the SPY, little slightly bearish as of now. IWM, a slightly bullish. The Qs, notably bearish on the Qs. And then finally, Prague, you asked about, bullish. 56.5 versus 43.5. All right, SPY looking a bit heavy. It's kind of interesting. The Qs are holding up the best, but they have the biggest bearish bets going on. Kind of inverse of what you would think. Hey, Matt, did you know that there's a $3 billion allotted in the new bill for tree inequality? Tree? Well, I don't know what tree inequality is. Is that real, Matt's tech suspenders? That's crazy. What would that even be? Matt, we all know AMC went back down to the 3457 area and just wanted to say, look at that George W. It's forming in the 1 hour and the building the 1 minute as well. Stay positive, Abe. Shout out, Dave. I like the enthusiasm. Reminder, I like this one, Mary. Reminder, it's not a loss until you sell. What is your go-to coffee brand? Also, just got back from Colombia. That will give you some real perspective on corruption. Ours is White Collar. Oh, for sure. It's a lot of the things we discuss and like the things we have issues with in our life are definitely privileged problems. They're definitely first world problems. They truly, truly are. In my like mediocre like world travel, if you're watching this live stream right now, your life could probably be exponentially worse. It really, really could. If there's some serious mess up things going on out there, and like, hey, that doesn't mean just because there's mess up things, that doesn't mean we still can't fix things. But I think sometimes it's helpful to take a deep breath and try to get a true, I guess, to the best of our abilities, a true global view, and realize that like the fact that you're watching this right now, like you're probably better off than a high percentage of the world. My go-to coffee brand, I don't know. I kind of drink. I'm not the biggest fan of the coffee taste, but I drink a lot of it just because otherwise I think like I would spontaneously combust from my low energy levels. So I just have some like crappy store-bought coffee that like I don't enjoy the taste. I just like chug it to my face and hopefully it wakes me up a little bit. There's a place in Philly I'm trying to think of like, I'm trying to sound like to all the coffee snobs out there. I don't want to make any of you mad. I'm trying to think of like a fancy brand that I have. The place I used to work at like prided itself on having like high quality coffee and tea. Like that's what it was known for. And I'm trying to think of some of the brands that they sent. They had like some sort of mail delivery service where every 2 weeks they got like very specially sourced coffee, and that coffee was good. And we would do like pour overs and stuff with it. But now I slap it in a Keurig and then I just like, I don't know. I don't really have the time to like do all that stuff. I just Keurig it and like let it rip. We need a rocket or lime emoji for AMC so it can take off. Hey, how about a moon? How about a moon emoji? I'll give you that moon emoji on both of these. Did you ever do the Philly Rocky tour? I did it recently. So I did actually when we shot the documentary for the Apes Together Strong. Oh, I should tell you guys that today is the last day for the Apes Together Strong doc. This is the last day that they're raising money. So I know it's a bit it's annoying. Like I don't like that the pitching of like all that stuff. But to me, I think it's important. Obviously, exclusively paying attention to the stock and talking about the stock day in and day out has not really got us to where we want to be. And I've been a big proponent of this forever. The more people who hear our story, the better. I know people like to get on their high horse about like who we should and shouldn't talk to. I don't know how I can make this more explicitly clear. I will literally talk to anyone about this. My thought process has never ever changed about it. If I'm asked to come on a podcast or another show or some mainstream media, as long as they're willing to, I guess, hear the story out, I'm going to do it. I know Trey's of the same opinion, because right here, right now, I truly believe the way we win this is the more eyes on it. And I think people like to get on their high horse of like, who's allowed to like even know about our story and that. I'm like, why? I think it's a bit reductive, especially almost hurtful to your own P&L to have less people knowing about it. So with, I don't know, I'm very, very happy of what the community is, and I'm happy that I was even asked, and I feel like a special sense of pride that I was asked to be in the Apes Together Strong doc. I just think it's super, super important. And there's also other documentaries coming out, ones that I filmed like a while ago. Like those are some of them are specific to GME that like all occurred like early in the year, and I'm happy to be a part of those because I feel like we're telling a very, very important story. So to me, clearly the fight in the stock, to elevate it to the next level, we have to get the general public once again re-enthused about what is and isn't going on. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to just like almost hit the trail and continue telling our story to as many people who are willing to listen. I put a link in chat. I know it's relatively cheap stock right now, but would you ever see the volume like this early? FAMI? Well, it's easier for a cheaper stock to have way more volume. 560 million. Yeah, you're talking about a 50-cent stock. That's definitely possible. Where's Ari go? Hey, Apes, I love you. Just bought a ton more of AMC. Keep your heads up and buy the freaking dips. Also, hi, Matt. It's a sale. Shout out Kinky Kong. Matt stuck suspenders. I put a link in chat. All right, shout out. Thank you, man. In the 3.5 trillion spending bill, it raises the fine for unvaccinated employees in companies with at least 100 people to a minimum of 70K per violation, with a potential above 700K per violation. That seems messed up. A 700K violation. People do have it much worse. Powers, shout out. We need a rocket hour. We did that. Enrique, the whole point of the DRS is to prove synthetic shares, because how can the stock trade if the whole float is directly registered? Directly registered. With GME float. Wait. How is it? The whole point of the DRS, the direct registered, to prove synthetic shares, can stock still with the GME float? Maybe. I think I'm following what you're saying, Enrique. And like, I get the point of it. Like I've already been very, I guess, like upfront of, it seems like, I think there is evidence that doing it cuts down on FTDs. Like I think that's been kind of shown. So like, I guess I'm not really disagreeing with that point of it. Then stop spreading FUD about sell speeds. So in my head, if you don't want to prove it's bad, then don't say it's bad for an average investor. I don't think it's bad for an average investor. I think it's potentially bad for an ape who cares about the mobility of getting out on a moment's notice. It doesn't remove your shares from DTCC. It does remove your shares. Look into the book versus street names registered. If the float has been sold out multiple times via naked shorting, then it should be no problem to lock up the float. But the float could be sold out multiple times through legal, legitimate shorting. That's rehypothecation. It seems like the main advantage of this direct registering is cutting down on FTDs. But remember, you can actively trade much more than the float in a legal, legitimate manner. It's referred to as rehypothecation. It's the entire concept of you have shares, you lend it out, someone has them, they short them, someone else buys them, that person lends them out. It's this daisy chain effect, and that is completely legal the way our laws are currently written. Obviously, Naked shorting is not in any way, but the way you could trade way more than the float, the way you could have more ownership than the outstanding shares or the float to a meaningful magnitude is through rehypothecation. It can happen in a legal way, it can happen in an illegal way, and it can happen in a combination of both. But even with that, that's going to be still very, very different. You're talking about one aspect of naked shorting. Don't forget that the direct registered shares, that is in no way in the realm of what market makers can and can't do. And remember, it's legal for market makers to naked short and have short exempts and in their minds keeping fair and orderly market. So make sure you're talking about, when we're talking about synthetic shares and naked shorts, we're almost talking about like two pillars of them. You're talking about prime brokers and hedge funds in one, and then the other one is market makers and like how they provide liquidity and the things they can and can't get away with. And I think sometimes people are like confusing and conflating the two arguments, and the net result could be the same thing, but the way in which we get there, it's different depending on like what silo you're really discussing. Do you have a Ken Griffin in jail emoji? I do not. Rare Pokemon Oreos are selling for thousands of dollars on eBay. That's wild. Do you think the gap filled down to 1167 on PLAT, one of the new runners past couple of days? So I feel like it's sketch shorting it. I wouldn't mess around with PALT because it just kind of started trading. I believe it was an uplist to the NASDAQ from the gray market. So it, to me, in my mind, it's kind of almost equivalent to an IPO where like I would want to see more of the chart built out. Google 131 judge broke the law hearing case. Shout out Mac Daddy. Alexis, I'll check that out. Morning coffee is always a little bit better with bourbon in it. And just saying, shout out Dan. Still going with the banana moon emoji I pointed out. Awesome to see. Keep holding up. Big dip, bigger rip. Anyway, I'm off to feed the duck. Shout out Parker. Kenny Grifter, did someone call me? Oh, that's funny. That's good. I even told you were breaking your rules when you did it. Oh, yeah. Dave, that's how I like to trade Tesla. Oh, no. I haven't traded it today, TMI, but when we were talking about it. Oh, the NFT? Oh, Dave, I'm just letting it rip with these NFTs. Sorry, easy to jump to conclusions. My name isn't Justin Frozen Peas. My name isn't Justin Frozen Peas and Meat Juice. Try living in Canada. Oh, wait, it's actually pretty good. Canadian Pirates. I see some people spamming Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic up 15%. Must be some sort of news. The following top stories, Perfect Day, Virgin Galactic. The top U.S. aviation safety regulator, Federal Aviation Administration, said it cleared Virgin Galactic SPCE to operate space flights again, but found that the company failed to communicate a mistake that occurred during a high-profile mission this summer. So the fact that it's cleared again, that's why the stock is up on SPCE. What else we have? This one is on its way up. Are the Qs catching a bid yet? Not. A little bit of one. SPY. Yeah, also a little bit of one. Where are we going today? Is there any update on our government stuff, or do they not start working till after lunch? Senate reaches deal to avoid government shutdown. House passes debt ceiling suspension. That's doomed in the Senate. So no updates there. Plunging meme stock, Bed Bath & Beyond vindicates short sellers as GameStop and AMC remain elevated. I don't know, like this whole meme stock, like it's not, I guess it's kind of derogatory, but it's silly. Meme stock. I wonder who was the first person that said that. But Bed Bath & Beyond, BBBY, got destroyed because of their earnings. Very, very poor in the most recent fiscal quarter. All right, do we have any breaking news? Let me see. Square is letting merchants promote and sell through TikTok, giving a little bit more credibility to that social media platform, potentially as a career for all the TikTokers who are listening. What else do we have? Disney just got hit with a call sweep. What else do we have? Nothing crazy yet in terms of news on the day. Let me check some other sources. General Motors, Netflix shares hit record high, NFLX, mortgage rates. We're looking at that. Pelosi says House still plans to vote on infrastructure bill today. That is the only government thing I'm actually really seeing at the moment. NVIDIA partners with Electronic Arts EA to bring hit games to GeForce Now. Smith & Wesson to move headquarters to Tennessee from Massachusetts. In case you know, hey, AMC bending back around, running for the moon. AMC, it does look like it's attempting to finally break the trend of whatever IWM's doing. IWM, it's looking a bit weak right now. SPY's looking indecisive, but AMC looks like it's trying to gear up for some form of a move. Matt, good morning, Big D Daddy. I see AMC and GME moving down, and I find it very hard to believe either are being sold, especially GME with its smaller float and cult following. Where are we headed? Remember, they are being sold. I don't know if they're being sold to create a position, that would be shorting, or if they're being sold to get out of a position, as in closing a long position. But AMC, 14.6 million shares were bought, as in 14.6 million shares were sold. For GME, 617,000 shares were bought, as in 617,000 shares were sold. With every buyer, there is a seller. With every seller, there is a buyer. It's not going to be, I guess, weighted heavily one way or the other. It's going to be the same. Every buyer has a seller. Every seller has a buyer. What moves the price is the price that's agreed upon. Where do the seller and the buyer agree it should be traded at? And that's when I'm referring to equilibrium. That's the equilibrium of supply and demand. That's the price. Hey, Matt, I transferred in my account from Robinhood to public. I got a notification that Robinhood, that it sold a fraction of my shares. Is that how transferring works? It shouldn't work that way. They can't transfer partial shares, so they might have just gotten rid of your partials. But if you had whole increment shares, like if you had 10, I don't think it doesn't make sense that they would have sold like one or two of them, just like the fractional part. Matt, public is down right now, just saying. Is my public down? Let me check this. I'll check. Let me check. Maybe it's a regional thing, or maybe they're doing like maintenance or something. Public. Let me load in. Mine is working. Oh, wait, it looks like we're having trouble displaying your account info. It says account out of sync, but it looks like I still have the ability to do stuff. Yeah, hang on. I'm just making sure that I'm not like a crazy person. Yeah, it looks like I'm still, it says out of sync, but it looks like I still have functionality. Wow, look at the short interest of free float of FAMI. Somebody hates mushrooms. FAMI. Let me check this one out. What is the short interest on that one? Short interest Oh, it went up. Well, the short interest right now is still estimated to be 200% or 6%, which is a 200% increase from yesterday. So the short interest still clocking in at 5.92. Wall Street Viking. Can you explain how to sell cover calls for AMC, please and thank you, Jeremy? On actually both channels, like the Matt Kohrs official channel and the Kohrs Light channel, I have multiple videos explaining covered calls, and I think that'll be like better than I could explain it at the moment in time. Dingaling asking the same thing. I don't know what your question is, Dingaling. Feel free to tag a mod in it, and they could get it my way. Me, Kevin uses the term momentum stock instead of meme stock. I feel like that's more accurate term, and they should officially be called. Of course, that's just my opinion, though. Yeah, I mean, I've been calling them moon stocks because there's other stocks out there that like just have nice momentum that I wouldn't think are like social media driven. And that's just like, I don't know, you're splitting hairs there. One and the other at 1018 is related to Graham's coffee brand. Last question. When use this, it's way easier if you just post the question right in here, because remember with these super chat things, they do end up disappearing. So if especially you being in here, use this in the Discord, you could just post your question. When selling a covered call, if the strike is met and the buyer chooses to exercise, will I get the premium and the 100 shares sold at the strike price? So say you get a premium of 1,000 and the strike at 100, would I walk away with? No. If you're talking about covered calls, you keep the premium, but if they choose to exercise, you lose your shares, but you keep the premium. So you're going to end up basically selling your shares at the strike, but really it's just a transfer to that person who has to buy it off of you at that strike price. So you're going to get the premium, and then you're going to get the amount, not necessarily where the stock's at. You're going to get the whatever the financial amount would be for the amount of your contracts at the strike, not at the current price of the stock, if that makes sense. So premium plus the sale of your shares at the strike, not the current value of the stock. Citadel intern here. Kenny has officially lost his mind. He's covering in mayo, crawling on the floor like a slug. All right. Very, very quickly, just while we're waiting to see if the SPY and IAWM are about to bounce right here, special shout out to one of my favorite sponsors. It's just been super fun to work with them. Butcher Box. It is pinned to the top of chat. We are talking about high quality food delivery, high quality meat delivery. The current offer, if you sign up, it's pinned to the top of chat, but it's also Butcher Box /Kohrs beef, and the reason for that is you get free ground beef for the life of your membership. I'm talking about free tendies when you sign up for Butcher Box, and it's awesome. I actually myself had some awesome cheeseburgers last night, and that's the main thing that you need to know. Let me switch back to the charts, and I'll let you know all the other important details. So like I said, the current offer for the people who currently sign up right now with using the link pinned to the top of chat or just butcherbox.com/Kohrs beef. It's free beef for the life of your membership, not just once, not just twice. As long as you're doing it, I believe you can actually get up to 2 pounds of ground beef in every box for the lifetime of your membership. If you haven't heard of Butcher Box, like I said, it's a meal delivery service, but specifically for meat. I think they're awesome. I've now been on it for a couple months, and the way they pitch it, like I truly can back it up because like the meat I've had with them is absolutely awesome. They have high quality meat, delicious, 100% grass-fed beef, free-range organic chicken, pork raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. If you're wondering about the cost, obviously you could check it out in the link, but the average cost is less than $6 per meal. Super flexible. You can cancel anytime, no penalty. It gets shipped right to your door. You don't have to go up, meet up. It's super convenient. And for them, I know this is kind of becoming more and more important, and it makes sense, but they truly, I guess, care about the environment. They care about animals. Caring about animals and our planet, improving livelihoods for farmers, better meals enjoyed together. So more specifically, how does this work? ButcherBox sources from farmers and fishermen who meet the highest standards of quality. You choose your box and delivery frequency. They offer 5 boxes, 4 curated box options, and as well as a popular custom box, so you get exactly what you and your family love. ButcherBox ships your order frozen at peak freshness and packed in an eco-friendly 100% recyclable box. You enjoy high-quality meat delivered to your door and one more time for amazing meals together. Like I said, I myself have been on it for a while. Right now, the special deal is for the ground beef. I'm a big fan of their steak, but they also have pork, chicken. They have some great seafood options, various seafood options. I think it's awesome. So if you want to get that freebie, check it out. Once again, it is butcherbox.com/KohrsBeef. It's pinned to the top of chat. But I'm a big fan of those high quality tendies, the official tendies sponsor of our trip to the moon. Can we look at FAMI, please? Yes, FAMI. What are we doing here? So the gap up, it's green after the gap up from when it opened, but right now giving back some of the gains on the day. I'm curious if it's going to base at 45 cents. So I would be watching the MACD and I'd be watching this top trend line to see what's going on there. That is 100% what I would be watching. Matt, thinking about picking up calls if AMC drops down below our support of 33 with the low volume hurt the potential of these calls even at support. Low volume wouldn't hurt it. My biggest concern that I would have would be the low volatility. Buying options in low volatility is ideal, but it's ideal in the sense that you're looking for the volatility to pick back up. You don't want the volatility to continue to die off or to just go flat. That's referred to as premium burn. You'll get chopped up by theta, basically. So I like it. I like getting into calls when the price is going down, it's at support, but I also want to see momentum picking up. Like I want the volatility to pick back up because volatility is a very important aspect of options pricing. All right, I'm kicking. Oh, man, my mods are too fast. I was about to get a Greg out of here. Speaking of Virgin, what do you think about Rocket Space Travel ASTR is cheap right now? I bought a couple as a fan, Rocket Labs a week ago. So it's very much, for obvious reasons, a new sector. So with it, I want to see how it kind of builds out. And as I'm waiting for it, like I am a fan of like the major players in it. Obviously, SpaceX is not publicly traded. Blue Origin is not publicly traded. So Virgin Galactic is. It's kind of our only option for like leisure space travel at the moment in time. So I would say it's the front runner. So when there's like a new budding industry, if I like the industry and I like where it's headed, I'm going to go with the main ones in it until I see like how the industry is developing, the main players who are in it and like how it's playing out. So right now I would be a little bit hesitant about ASTR. Just like you're saying it's cheap, but it might be properly cheap. Like I don't know how good the fundamentals or anything that is, because right now, when you're creating an entire new industry, there's no like promise that the industry is going to work out. So just because I find a cheap stock, that doesn't necessarily mean it's like a good stock to be invested in. It might be cheap for a reason. Sending TIS to coin is now since SPRT, where SPRTians, PRG holder are now pierogies because they are delicious. If I could look at Ergo. Shout out Kinky Kong. Ergo. EAR. EAR. There we go. Okay, so up 3.5% on the day. A little bit lower volume, but not bad. Okay, so it gapped down. One of these days, you could play it up maybe to 868, or maybe you want to really shoot for this gap fill. Why is this not working? Up to 2144, but way before that, you need some momentum. Right now, I'm just not seeing many buyers in this Kinky Kong. When it picks up, if it gets above 760, I would then be interested in watching 860. And if you can break through this resistance, well, then we're talking about the gap fill. But it does have some room to run, and it has to make some moves before we get there. So it's a play, but first thing I would do is try to understand why it gapped down. I don't think Did it miss on? No, it doesn't look like it was earnings. So it's some sort of other announcement. So I would want to dive into there. That would be my step one on this one. Okay, so ATER is pretty much at my target. I mean, ATER, obviously, like I said, like I can't tell anyone to buy or sell, and I don't want to tell anyone to buy or sell, but I felt like I try to make it very, very clear that if it doesn't hold the low 11s, we're watching for the low 9s. That's where it's at now. If you're in ATR or if you're buying it, you're looking for a bounce very, very shortly. If it does not bounce here, the next thing I would personally be watching is 8 flat, this previous resistance from September 1st and September 7th. So please, please be careful with whatever you are or aren't doing. But right now on ATER, the bears are currently in control. And this is just, I guess this is the way I think of it. It's always just you're watching the closest support, closest resistance, and seeing how the stock reacts to it. The closest support right now is these low 9s. I want to see how ATER reacts to that. I think in a certain way, AMC and GME has kind of gotten people in the bad habit of diamond handing everything, and the market is not a place where you diamond hand everything. Some things you need to be like agile with it and move when the moment is necessary. The concept of just on every single play, you're going to end up getting caught on some of them, and you're going to be like a deer in the headlights, and that is not going to end well. Posture and water check. That's a good call. My posture has been so bad, folks. Like my neck is so messed up. I needed to find a chiropractor or something. That's a good call. I appreciate that, Greg. At what point do you find this sell-off becoming alarming for the ape community, putting aside the cause for fair and free market? This is a very, very good question, and I've been thinking about this more recently. Let me get rid of this. So I could give you my opinion on where I think a lot of people are going to be watching, and then I could give you my opinion on what I'm going to do. Let me start off with what I'm going to do. For me, I almost don't think of AMC and GME as a stock anymore. I own stock in these companies, but for me, maybe symbolically, like I almost feel like if I sell my shares, like if I just go flat on AMC or GME, I feel like I'm almost then like somehow at this point, like, I mean, I've been it's September 30th. Like, I don't want to give up on this fight. Like, I think the fight, like, it feels like we're making headway on this fight with payment for order flow and market makers and that type of stuff. So for me, I'm just not going to give up. If the money I have invested, if it's required for me, for my AMC and GME money to go to zero, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not saying that's for everyone, though. That is definitely not for everyone. Some of you, the money you're invested, you're probably invested more than you should have. So you might not have that leisure to be able to ride it out to zero. No one should be betting money that they can't afford to lose. I need to make that very, very explicitly clear. You're all in charge of your own money. We're all in charge of our own finances. For me, I'm prepared. I've mentally accepted it. If I have to ride this to zero, I'll ride it to zero. But that is not necessarily a methodology that everyone watching right now should follow. You need to take control and care of your own P&L. It's your money. You have to have your own financial responsibility. So that's my individual opinion on it. In terms of the ape community, I don't know if it's necessarily the ape community, but I think the Gregs and the Shills and the bots are really going to pick up sub 29 this low from August 2nd, or the week of August 2nd. So I don't know if that's really indicative of what the apes will or won't do, but I think we're going to see a slew of bots and attacks and like the I told you so's sub 29. The ape community's reaction to that, I don't know. I don't know how they will or won't react. But I would expect an increase in all these like pathetic little keyboard warriors who have probably done nothing with their life picking up sub 29. Flu shot. Matt Kohrs doesn't tell the truth. If anything, I think I'm one of the people who has taken on shit for maybe telling the truth a little bit too much and like full transparency throughout this. Like the saying, we didn't come this far just to come this far. Thoughts on ADA, Cardano, crypto? Love it, love it, love it, love it. It's one of my favorite long-term investments. I'll be in Cardano, Ethereum, Bitcoin for many years to come. So are you saying we're going to see 29? Oh, I have no idea. I very much hope this is the lowest we see and it bounces off of 34. This concept of like, oh, are we going to see this value or not? Like, it's all guesswork. Like, nothing is guaranteed. If anything, the most interesting short-term thing for me in AMC is the gap fill up to 44.20. You can see it on the daily chart. From a technical perspective, it's this gap that I find to be the most interesting in the short time frame right here. I know gaps are commonly filled. I'm looking for this gap to get filled up to 44.20. So if anything, if I did see 29, which I don't know if we are, maybe we'll bounce before it. Maybe we're going to go lower. I don't know. That's why we play it from level to level. The lower we go, though, the more interesting it is for me to buy more, just because I see this gap up to 44.20. I know the odds of gaps, gap fills do not have 100% accuracy. They have a very high accuracy, and I'm willing to take that bet. If that makes sense. But nothing is ever going to be guaranteed. And I think people, I don't know, like I see some people on social media trying to pitch this as like it has to happen. What are you talking about? What are you smoking? Nothing ever has to happen in the stock market. We are fighting politically connected people, highly motivated people, borderline an endless supply of money, and we're fighting against an establishment that has been around for way longer than we have. If you think this is an easy battle and any of this is guaranteed, I mean, like I said, like it's just it's just wrong, and it frustrates me, especially when there's a lot of new apes that join every single day, that sometimes they come across these creators that push that type of stuff. That's to me is very dangerous, because it's creating expectations. And if I've learned something in the past 9 months of this, it seems like one of the biggest issues in our community is unmet expectations, because you have people setting expectations ungodly high just to get likes, views, upvotes, because it sounds good and it produces some sort of emotional response. So they're doing it to bolster their own social media presence at the detriment of the community. And that pisses me off to no end. Why is CEI so high in the past? Google shows it was over 28.2 million per share in 2007. Seems AMC could take notes. No, it was actually never trading at those levels. It was because of various reverse stock splits. Sounds like I shouldn't be in this one. No one can beat the hedgies. Sounds like I have too many expectations. I think actually historically we have proof that we can, like literally this year. So this concept, hedge funds and the current Wall Street regime, they're not omnipotent. It's not like they control everything and they're unbeatable. It's a tough battle. But hey, like you can still win. And what's the proof for that? Like, I'm not just saying this as like a good soundbite. Hedge funds blew up in January and February. There's new rules being passed because of us. Like, there's change. I mean, we had GME running up above 400. We had AMC running up above 70. The proof that these stocks can move at a high percentage and take out hedge funds and produce new SEC rules, that's all there. That's all there this calendar year. So I don't need to sit here and say, oh, no. Like I get sometimes for morale, it's good to pitch it and give everyone those good sound bites. But also in a certain point, when you're talking about the market, it's good to be settled and have your mind and what's true and what's untrue. What do we have proof of? And if you find yourself to be a very quantitative person of like, what is the quantitative proof that we have the ability to win and that we're not fighting a useless fight? Look at the stock charts. AMC above 70, GME above 400s, new SEC rules that were passed within expediency that would have not happened because of us. And I can name 3 different hedge funds that have blown up this year because they were betting against AMC and GME. Even right now, the lawsuits against Robinhood, against Citadel, there are truly quantifiable things that show we have won various battles. And if you can win various battles, if you string enough of those together, that means that you can win the overall war. Appreciate the straight talk. Shout out Jason. I appreciate you. I absolutely appreciate your honest opinion. By no means am I telling you what to do, but a few minute video posted on the information to help that community together might be a good idea. Dustin, I think that's a phenomenal idea. I appreciate it. That's a great suggestion. Hey, Matt, thoughts on IRNT? I'm in at 34, but not sure if this is bottom time to buy again or to lower my position. Do you think it will run up again? IRNT, let's check this one out. Earned. Oh, looking bad on the intraday, looking bad on the daily as well. So you're very close to support. You want this to hold, I guess, 16.75, so about 75 cents below. If it doesn't, like, I mean, the break, what I would have risked if I was in IRNT would have been here at 23.30. I never traded IRNT. This, I was like, okay, like it's getting a little bit of a bounce here. It was a fake out bounce, and then it crushed through 23.30, which was the resistance of mid-September. When it crushed through 23.30, it seems like it's going to be a straight shot to 16.75. That's all I do is like, I just play levels. I was like, okay, I think it's going to be attracted to this support. And then I need to watch the reaction. If it goes up, I watch the next resistance. Or if it breaks down, I watch the next support. To me, it's always a game of support, resistance. Where are we at? What am I watching? What is the technical structure? It's not really, I think people like to romanticize like the difficulty of it. All I do is watch that. So IRNT, I have no clue where it's going. All I can tell you is that I would be watching 16.75. I think it's going to hit it. I can't guarantee it. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm none of that. I just share my own opinions. But I would watch that. If it bounces, I would then watch 23.30. If it breaks below it, I would then be watching 12. Dear God, that Wani guy is right. We can't beat the hedgies. I'm crying, buying more, but crying. Shout out, Nick. Yeah. Hashtag Citadel Scandal. Yeah. Hashtag Robinhood sucks. But here the real reason we're red. We haven't had the Karate Kid headband on in a while. Eric, I think I need, where is that? I think I put it upstairs. I'll have to bring it back for the afternoon session. That's what we need. I appreciate Kelly Ripa. Joe Erickson, shout out. Shout out Joe Erickson. Man, IWM. Someone opened the floodgate on IWM. Hang on, do we have some sort of political development? Let me double check. IWM just got hit, folks. Zero hedge. McConnell signals GOP support to avoid government shutdown. That was 21 minutes ago. What else do we have? A Powell Yellen face-off against Mad Maxine in House testimony. Man. Will Maxine fire Jerome Danger today? Stay tuned. And then obviously Pelosi says House still plans to vote on the infrastructure bill today. All right, folks. We're seeing some red. We are seeing from red. All right. So I guess that we're political people. They're all talking right now. Things are happening. Things are happening. What else do we have? What else do we have rocking? The Treasury Department. All right, I found that one. The live. Who is this? All right. Interesting. Nothing. I think they're all just getting underway right now. Like, it's not like there's a huge amount of development in all of this. All right. But the fact is they still haven't covered, right? So we hold on. That's kind of how I think of it. Lady Ape, Lana, AMC, Jimmy have not covered, so I'm waiting. I get it. And we've had these days like this. Folks, if you find it like emotionally distressing and demoralizing, but you also are confident that you don't want to get out, sometimes it's best to take a step away from the market. Like you can feel free to do that. You don't have to like, I guess, take in like all this pain. If you're like, you know what, I'm going to hold it, but it's just like watching the minutes of it being read. You don't need to do it. You remember, it's perfectly acceptable. If you're like, hang on, I'm going to take a day away. If you just want to set like maybe an alert on your phone to do this, to do that, something along those lines, hey, that's acceptable. You don't need to like suffer through the pain of it. If you're like, you know what, my advice, or not my advice, my game plan, if like I'm speaking as if I'm your conscious, if your game plan is you're like, I'm just holding it, but like emotionally it's distressing right now, take a step away. Like put alerts on your phone if you want those alerts to be set, and you could always just come back to it tomorrow. But the fact is they still haven't covered. Correct. Now, if Prague breaks and holds above 150 gap since it's filled off to the races, Ortex looks great on it too, and shorts average is 125. Riskier now gap was filled. Shout out Wall Street Viking crushing it on Prague. Crushing it on Prague. All right, we have the NASDAQ list here. All right, so before we go for the morning, let me give you all of this info. So AMC, they borrowed $950,000 against it. The short interest is 20.86%. GME, they've borrowed $58,500 against it. The short interest is pretty high for GME, 15.26%, at least on a relative basis. Just so you know, for AMC, it's kind of at support right now at 33.80, resistance, but the main support I'm watching is at the low 32s. Obviously, it doesn't have to hit it. It could pull a U-turn early. I'm kind of watching this top trend line, still watching for this gap fill up to 44.20. Just so you know, it could pull the U-turn here, but it doesn't seem like AMC is driving the day. It seems like it's more so of IWM. IWM, if it breaks below yesterday's low, you might be watching 218. So please be wary of that. Yeah, this IWM thing, whatever this government shit is that's going on, this is like messing everything up right now. In terms of GME, it's at the support of 170. Look for it to hold 170. Additional support could probably be found around 155, but we're at support now. You want GME to bounce off of that. So those are your Ortex updates. Obviously, shout out to ButcherBox. If you want free ground beef for life, the life of your membership, up to 2 pounds of ground beef in every package you get, check out ButcherBox. It's pinned to the top of chat, ButcherBox/Kohrs beef. You can sign up forever what you want. The average meal is around $6 and high quality meat. They have beef, pork, fish, poultry, awesome options. I eat it. I love it. So check that out if you haven't already. Crypto kind of sideways. Hex is the one that's picking up a little bit. Bitcoin sideways, Ethereum sideways, Cardano a little down but still holding above 2. Looks like we're getting a bit of a bid right here in AMC, maybe bouncing off of that 33.80 level that we saw on the daily chart. But that is what overall I have for you this morning. I will be back 2 p.m. If something crazy happens, I'll come back even earlier. But I'm looking to hang out with some of the people in the Discord. So if you guys want to hang out and discuss things, I should be there. But thank you. I appreciate your support. I'll be back 2 p.m. Eastern at the latest. And until I catch you next time, for me and Cher, best of luck in the markets.